So there's $65,000 to get grants, to get funding for nonprofits up here. Get the ball rolling. So Betty Ross Museum and George Washington Museum, they have like their army recruiting, like that's about what they had up here. The army recruiting, they have a George Washington Museum and a Betsy Ross Museum. Get all your Nazis and skinhead stuff at the George Washington Museum. $65,000 to get grants for museums and funding for museums and education. That's great, right? The George Washington Museum with his Betsy Ross Museum and Benjamin Franklin Museum. That's great because that would be a genius, right? That was a great guy. They like him. His relatives are still around. It's great. The French History Museum of people who are looking for asylum. Get a whole museum. Whole art museum. $65,000 to start getting grants. Well, $10,000 to get grants. You can help fund your music for be live musicians, opera. Get funding for opera, theater. There's all kinds of theaters to get funding for. $65,000 to get a grant to start getting grant money to fund nonprofits and stuff. That's really music, theater, art, get museums, schools, getting funding for schools. If you could get grants, you could get funding for all kinds of things. For kids who are up to musicians, all kinds of things, right? All kinds of funding. For people who grew up with dreams in a trailer park, you give them dreams. There's people who grew up with a museum for, you have an Andy Warhol museum. There was the Norman Rockwell. People try because there's a Norman Rockwell. There's a Thomas Kelly, I think. Thomas Kelly can get his own museum. A rock star museum, motorcycle museum, plane museum. I like those. You have a military plane museum. You have your seaplane with your car plane museum, flying car museum. We're going flying car museum. I like those. There's an airport here, nonprofit for school for learning to be a pilot, promoting aviation school. There's an airport here for aviation school. You can help kids get funding for aviation, help them fund education for aviation. Education's big bucks. Schooling for the airport.